Hello, everyone.
Hey,
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of Stories on Hope with Restoring Hope with FWB. And I'm super excited because I have a special guest in the house, Damilola Oluwasakin. And very soon I'm going to be allowing her to introduce herself. I'm super excited to have her on this episode. And I trust that even as she shares her story of hope, that a lot of people will be inspired. And for those of you who don't know me, I remain your girl, Efwe Billionaire, and I'm your host on this podcast. And yes, we'll just dive right into it. So welcome, Dami Lola. Oh, she's looking so beautiful.
hi.
Do you want to quickly
Hello.
Introduce
Thank you,
yourself so
my
that people can
friend.
get to know you?
Yeah. Let me hype you now. Let me hype my friend. My
Ah,
friend is
okay.
F-word billionaire. Do you understand? Do you understand what it means by F-word B? The B there means billionaire.
Yes,
So she's
please.
she's the money making person.
Ah,
And I'm very glad to be
hallelujah.
on
From your
this
mouth to
show.
God's ears.
So I'm very glad to be on this show to share my experiences. And the reason why I'm so glad to be doing this with if I remember very early this year when we were praying together, doing our
Mhm.
midnight prayer. And I've been having this nudge to start something. People have been saying, share your story. You have a lot to share to encourage others. And I've just been skeptical. How do I start this? And, you know, after that prayer that night, the Holy Spirit said to me, why don't you speak to Efwe? She's more, comported, organized, and all of that. She could help you out, give you tips. And then I called on Efwe that night and I said, oh, this, she said, oh my God. Yes, you should share. In fact, the Holy Spirit has sent it to me and all of that. And we started almost at the same time. And I'm so glad to
Yeah.
be here, to be doing this with you. I'm so glad. Thank you, Efwe, for allowing God to use you to bring people like us out. And I'm glad I met you. And
Yeah,
yes, so
same here,
back to
sis.
introducing myself. I am Damilola Oluwasakin. I am Oluwa Damilola Oluwasakin. I'm popularly known as Omoba Damilola, or you can call me Omoba D. And
Let's go.
yes, I'm a woman. I identify as a woman.
Please, you need to be
I'm a woman.
specific.
I'm a woman of God. And I'm a daughter. Yes, I'm a daughter of God. I'm a daughter. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I'm an educator. Um, I'm a minister. I'm a minister for youth and young adults in my church, and I'm also a photographer.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
I didn't know
so
that part.
and
Wow.
I have a business name. My business name is Bima Studios, and so
Mm.
yes, I'm on Instagram. I have yes, and I I'm an educator. I think I mentioned that. My profession is actually teaching. So I've taught for about 8 to 10 years, and I enjoy teaching. And even during teaching, I also used to direct plays. So I love
Mm.
dramas. So I used to be play director. In my church, I used to be head of drama units in Nigeria and even here in Finland. So I've dabbled into so many things. So
Wow.
many. I used to be an event planner too
Ah, ah.
in Nigeria, though, not here. My sister, if you're in Nigeria now, you will do many things.
Ah.
You have to
Multi,
survive.
they say multi-talented. This is it.
More,
Ah, teacher, photographer,
yes,
events
grapher,
planner,
event planner,
director,
name it,
actor. Did you say you used to
direct,
act?
and makeup artist.
Ah, okay. It's okay. It's
All of
okay.
them join. Let's just
Thank
be
you
doing
so
that. But
much.
the major ones are the teaching and the photography that I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. This is just a very fantastic way to, just really even dive into the conversation. To think that you are doing
Yeah.
so much. Like, as you were reading those things, I started thinking in my head, Efwe, hey, which excuse do you have again? What did you say again? You don't have what? Time. You don't have what? Because how is she doing all these things? How are you so many things? How are you able to wear so many
My
hats?
sister,
And it's interesting
my
because we're going to
sister,
be
we have
talking
to remember
about your
that. Yeah.
journey with sickle cell anemia.
Yes.
And this is you
Yeah.
looking, as soon as you got on the call, I was like, ooh, girl, like, ooh, what's going on? Why all this sheen and shine and looking so
What's
pretty?
going on
Like,
here?
nobody would guess.
Oh, thank
There's nothing
you.
about you that indicates that, you have this, you're a warrior, right? And you being able to do all
Yes.
these many things is, I'm already inspired without even listening to your story. I can only imagine
Mhm.
like the mental work, the spiritual work and the physical and all the things that
Yeah.
have, culminated in making you this amazing person that you are today,
Yeah.
girl. In fact, take your flowers before we even start.
Thank
Let's
you.
just give you your flowers first of all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic,
It's God
fantastic.
though. It's God though. I beg.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah, 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 for sure.
It's God
If
though.
not God,
Eh.
like, yeah, for sure,
Where will I
100%.
be?
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
will I
yeah. I
be?
totally
Yes.
agree.
Yeah.
So to get us into the
Yeah.
conversation, just
Yeah.
tell us about your childhood, growing up, and can you share like, your happiest memories, just being a child and all of that. And then from there, can you begin to tell us at what point did you realize that I might be a bit different from other children? Like, at what point did you realize that, okay, something is not quite right? Maybe I'm going to the hospital a little more than my siblings, or what was that trigger? So, first, tell us about the
Mhm.
memories, and then tell us how you sort of realized that, okay, mom, why am I different?
Something is going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm the first child. I'm the first child for my mom. And my mom was a single mom, or she is a single mom because she's still alive. So my mom is a single mom, and she had me first, and afterwards she had my sister. We're just 2 years apart, and so we grew up together. We call ourselves the girls' hostel. We grew up
Oh,
together, just
wow.
myself, my mom. Yes, myself, my mom, and my sister. And what was interesting for me was that we did everything together. I was really close with my sister. We used to have fun. We gossiped a lot together. We played a lot together. We made jest of people together. We could give ourselves this eye contact, and we already get it.
No
When we're talking
words.
about
Yeah.
someone that is in the room, but no words, just eye contact, and we already get ourselves and all of that.
That's high
And
level, my boy. You know
another
that,
thing is
right?
we high level, and we fought a lot. Oh my God, we always fought. My mom would say, my mom would say in Yoruba, "Lai shomo rogun," like when you're not children from different mothers, why do you always
Mm.
have to fight? You're just two, and all of that. So, but it was really fun. It was the most cherished memory I have. You know, growing up with my sister and all of that. Yeah, that was a great time for me. A great
Oh,
time for
so
me.
sweet.
Yeah.
Obviously, you had a very
Yeah. I
beautiful
wish I could get
childhood.
that back. Yes,
Oh,
I did. I had so much fun. Yeah. I had so much fun. Yes. And we had our backs. Myself and my sister, we had our backs. Yeah. We had our backs when we were younger. Yes.
that's nice.
Yeah.
So, at what point did you, in the midst of all this, begin to sense that you might be a little bit different from your sister?
Yeah. Yes. Like I said, I was brought up by a single mom, and we used to go to the white garment church. We used to go to a white garment church at the time, and I used to fall sick a lot. Do you understand? I used to fall sick a lot, and they would take me for prayers, do all those their ritual prayer thing. I don't know what they do, and at some point, some people said they started to call me different names, Emery, we are
Mm,
Banji or something, is the spirit child, and all of those things. And my mom will say, okay, at some point when I'm tired, she say, oh, don't play too much, don't do this. So
mm,
that alone was already affecting me as a child then. It was already
yeah.
affecting my psychology. Like I was seen differently as in quotes, a spirit child or a child who has come and gone, who has come and is willing to go, like abiku as they call it. And so
Mm,
I didn't enjoy. Yes, it affected my self-esteem. Not until we were now. I was now 9. I was 9 years when my uncle just opened his hospital at First Act. Then we stayed at Malto Estate. And in first tag, so we went to the hospital to, I guess, visit, and then he realized. He saw my eyes and said, ah, Lola, have you tested this child? And my mom
mm,
was like, they said, no, and all of that. And then they ran a test and discovered that I was SS. And so, at that time, there was not much information because I'm 40 years now. So about that time, maybe over 30 years ago, there was no internet, nothing to, let people know about these things. And so my mom said, what is that? And so he had to start explaining what it was and how she could care for me and all of those things. And then when I realized that, for me, I thought that must have been a reason why my father and my mom didn't work out or something, or I don't know. And so that affected
mm.
me and all of that. But it was at 9 years I discovered all of this new life that I was sickle cell anemia. I had sickle cell anemia rather. And so yeah, that was when the challenge started, basically. Yeah.
Wow. That must have been, like
Yeah.
that's a lot for a 9-year-old to
Yeah.
navigate and have navigated, like just knowing that
Yes.
you're different, being called
Yeah.
names, suddenly being,
Names
treated
and
as glass, like just treated fragile, like everyone is running around and they're like, oh, you know what, you need to
yes,
sit down.
exactly.
Like
Exactly.
it almost felt like you were not allowed
Yes.
to live
Yes.
your best life. It was kind of like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do
Exactly.
it this way and
Exactly.
that way. And
Exactly. 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 Sometimes I'll be playing with my friends, maybe in school then, and they will just say, ah, you that you don't have strength. If I do this, you just faint. Because I usually
ah,
would faint in the classroom. And I just
mm,
fall down,
mm,
fainted, and they will take me to the sick bay and all of those things. So I was fragile. I used to be absent from school most of the time. I didn't like writing long notes and all of those. I was tired most of the time. But I tell you the truth, it was way better than not being called Obanji. It was way
yeah, and it's
better.
having a diagnosis. Oh
At least I
yeah.
know that okay, this is what's
This
wrong.
is
It's a
medical, not
medical.
spiritual.
It's not spiritual. So
Yeah.
yeah, so at least when my mom discovered that, she changed our church immediately, and she started to look for a Bible believing church. She
Mm,
took her time. We went to several churches until she found a church where we attend, and I still attend that church till date. So
yeah.
yeah, and where we found the true word of God. Yeah. So that for me was actually better to know that okay, this is what is wrong than not knowing exactly what was wrong for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done to mom, for
Yes.
taking those steps and just trying to
Yes.
perfect you,
Yes.
kudos
Yes.
to her.
Yes. Yeah.
But then growing up from now knowing that okay, this is what it was, and that you have the sickle cell anemia, what's the medical term? I don't know. I guess I'll just say you're a warrior just so that I don't muddle
Yeah.
up things.
Yeah.
Now knowing that, how did that then reshape your childhood? So, at first you were just this, like every child, free. You
Mhm.
did know that there were some constraints. You did know that people were saying certain things. You did know that maybe you were teased in school and all of that. But now knowing that, okay, there's actually something wrong. Like these people were not lying. Like there's actually something
Something
wrong.
wrong. Yeah.
And then going forward, how did that affect your childhood? So were there things like, for example, maybe you wanted to be on a basketball team and
Exactly.
maybe you
It
tried
was
out, and like how did that shape your
shaped it.
childhood and
Yeah, yeah,
growing up?
yeah. So growing up, um, knowing these things, my mom took extra care. She made me eat. In fact, some days she would boil 6 eggs, half
Wow.
done. Half done. The eggs are not done. You are still seeing the yolk running. And then you see liver, half
Wow.
done liver. She can put four on on the table and say, that may begin to eat. And all
She
of
just
that.
wanted to do
Just do
anything.
anything to ensure that I was fine. And you see, that also almost affected my sister because,
Mm, that's
we're
another
just,
story.
yeah, so the
Yeah.
treatment was kind of different.
Different. Like, why is it so special?
Why is Dami having 4 eggs and 3 or 4 meats on a, not knowing that
Wow.
it's half done and you're not even enjoying it? Why does Dami have to get meat pie and this and scotch egg? And why do I have to have just this? That was almost
Mm,
causing a challenge. I think it even did cause that sibling rivalry. It's another topic for another day. But
wow.
it changed a lot of things for me because I couldn't swim along with when we go to the swimming pool or to the beach or something. I had to stay out of water.
Wow.
Maybe my mom say, maybe I cry and cry. She'll say, okay, go for 10 minutes or less. Once it's 5 minutes, it's five, it's like she counted 1 to 100. Oh, yeah, come out. And other children are swimming, and I'm the only one. And it
Hmm.
changed my perspective of things. Like, I'm weak, I'm sick, I'm different.
Oh.
Do you understand? And also, because I miss school a lot, it was hard for me to grasp things. So I used to be called names like slow. You're too slow, daft, and all those things. So it changed a lot of things. I saw myself as weak,
Hmm.
shallow. I saw myself as weak, as shallow, as not able to do things. I'm talking with my friends and they're like, oh, we'll just do this like this. We'll just fall down and faint. Different things that it made me, it almost got me very timid.
Hmm.
Do you
Yeah.
understand? Because at that time, I don't even think my mom even understood the sickness. She was also making her research. She was new
Yeah.
to it. So we're all just trying to find out things.
And
So
it's
it
not like
was
there was internet or AI where
nothing
she
that we
could
give.
just
Do you
go and
get?
get some direction.
Yeah,
She
so
was
she
just trying
was,
to figure it out.
yes, going to different people and all of those things to just get advice. And people just give you different advice, traditional advice, medical advice, and all of those things. So it was here and there for me, and it was not fun. It wasn't really fun because it affected my self-esteem, the way I saw myself, and all of that. Yeah, and it affected. I think it also did affect my relationship with my sister, and somehow it did affect our relationship because yeah, she saw me as probably preferred. Children will not understand.
Yeah.
It's the adults that understand, the adults in the midst. But yeah, for a long time, she thought like that, and yeah, so it affected me. But thank God I found Christ.
Hmm.
Thank God I found Christ, and I found Christ early. That was my saving grace.
So can
That
you tell us more about that? Like, at what age did
you
actually
remember I told you that my mom started to look for new churches for
in a
us and all of that.
church? Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess in 1996, I was in GSS 1 at the time. I was 10.
It must have been like 10. Yeah.
10, yeah, I was 10. And we got to this it was a redeemed church and all of that. We joined the choir, everything. So by, I think, maybe 13, maybe 12, 13, I became born again. You know,
Wow, that's very early.
yes, I got born again very early. I became born again. I started to hear the word of God. I started to see
Mm,
myself as a child of God. I started to see things. But what I did not understand and what used to make me angry then was that if God really loved me, why am I like this? Why is my sister perfect? And
mm,
I'm like this, I'm weak. if God really loved me. And I think it also affected my relationship, because when I got to university, I broke off away from God too. So yeah, but I found God early, and that was what shaped me to see myself differently and get encouragement, especially from the people around you. If you had people
Yeah.
of God around you who spoke positively to you, And then there was one thing my mother always said: you don't have to share your case with anybody. Keep to
Hmm.
yourself. Yeah, that's what she always
You
said.
don't need to get in there and start
Yes,
explaining and telling
don't,
everybody what it
don't,
is.
don't.
Like,
You
let
don't.
people earn that access to that
Yes,
level of
yes. You
information.
don't need to let anybody know anything. Don't tell anybody, because trust me, you think people are nice. People are not nice. It's only God that is very nice. People are not nice. So it's not everybody you share your case with, except
Yeah.
you are asked. Let people guess. Let people say, "Oh, you are sick." You don't let it come out from your
Don't
mouth.
confirm it.
Don't
Yeah.
confirm it with anybody. Don't. The reason why I decided to share now is because I have passed that. I have
Exactly.
overcome this. So now there's nothing you will say to me that will make me feel differently. Do you understand? But then I was growing, I was still young. And that young age, it can shape you, whatever people do to you. And so my mom would say, you don't have to share. You don't have to say what you are to anyone. Do you understand? Let them
Yeah.
guess if they want to guess, and let them assume if they want to assume. So yeah. Yeah.
Wow. It's very impressive that you found God at that age. And
Yeah.
when you said, because we're the same age, basically, you know that, right?
Yes, yes,
So
yeah, we're same
that's why I
age.
was able to quickly calculate
You
when
are
you
my
said 98. I
senior.
was
You're
like,
my
oh, you're
senior.
10.
Sorry, I respect you, man.
So I remember that at that age too, my
Yeah.
mom used to take me for like charismatic. So I'm Catholic, but
Yes.
charismatic is like Protestant,
Yeah. Yeah.
so speaking in tongues in the Catholic church. And I remember then they would say, "Oh, come on and give your life." I'm sure I've given my life to Christ like 10 times, just going,
No, my own is 50.
just,
Your own is
just
10
going to
times.
that place.
It's every
And
time I
then we
went to
say,
redemption
"Come
camp.
out." We'll
Every time
come
that the
out.
Geo preaches like this, me and my sister were out to
We
give our
run
life
to
to
the front.
Christ.
So as in, I kept going. But you know what was very interesting was the other day I sat and I was like, where did I really build, this my level of spirituality? And I
Mm.
realized that that's where it started. Even
Yeah.
though I would go for like retreats, would go for like night vigil, and I just didn't understand why all these people were shouting around me. Like, can't you guys just speak one after the other to God? Like, why is everybody speaking together? Like, what's going on here? Most times I will
Exactly.
sit down, when someone will talk, I'll look. I was literally looking at everybody's mouth, someone will shout here, I will look there. It was like cinema to me. But she kept taking me to that place
Yeah.
and it started to form something within me, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
as you said it, I just remembered and I was like, this is so powerful, right? That even
Yeah.
though maybe children are you're not yet ready, they look like, oh,
Yes.
you're disturbing me. I don't want to
Yeah.
pray. I don't want to go to this place. It's important that you expose them to these things early because you're
Ex-
setting a foundation
Exactly.
that they will eventually build on later in
Exactly.
life. So that is so
Exactly.
amazing. And thank you for
Yeah.
sharing.
And there's one thing my mom also did. There was no day she was going to church and would be left behind at home.
You must go to church. Oh.
To say, "Mommy, I don't feel like."
Unless maybe you are
Mommy,
sick, like they want
lie,
to
lie. Oh, what do
hospitalize
you mean
you.
you don't feel like? I don't understand. Whether if they are not doing anything, even if you are not doing anything, sleep in the church. Do you understand? Just be
They
there.
are around the
She
blessing,
made
the
it
prayer.
Yes, she made it compulsory that when we are going, we are all going to church. And
Mm,
there's one thing that God said about Abraham. I know Abraham, that he will teach his children. Do you
mm,
understand? I trust this person that he will make his children do it. Do you understand?
yeah.
When Joshua said, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord," he wasn't joking, because you don't know what that does for the children
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
in the
yeah.
long run. Yeah. So yeah, that helped us.
Fantastic. And as you were speaking, you did mention that initially, you found God early. That really helped your journey. But then you were like, well, at some point, you
You,
know, you were like, hey,
you
God,
know
this
now.
God, what's really, really going on, sir? I think I want to take a break from you and all this. Tell us about that. How
Okay,
did you get to that point where you're like, oh,
I want
this
to
serving
take a
God,
break.
oh, I don't know.
When you get to that's why it's very good. Foundation is very important.
Exactly. Because once
Foundation,
it's there, you can
yeah.
find your way back.
Do you
But
understand?
where there's
There's no
nothing, like you start
foundation.
sinking, like you're starting from ground
Exactly.
zero.
Exactly. So foundation is very key because once you have laid it, you can go and rest and sleep. Do you understand? Because your foundation is there. So for me, when I got to uni and I went to Unilag, and you
Ah,
all know Unilag now. Unilag
tell
was
us about
like
Unilag.
Unilag was like the school to be.
Mm,
The other schools like maybe
like Unilag and others.
yeah, it was Unilag and others. As far as we were concerned, it was
Yeah.
Unilag and other schools. So Unilag was a place where you know we have there was partying, there was socializing, there was all of that. Do you understand? Right in
Yeah,
front
lots of
of you.
activities.
Yes, lot of activities happening in the middle around 11 p.m. It's still very loud. You think that,
Wow.
especially because I stayed in Moremi Hall. Do you
The
understand? And
famous Moremi Hall.
famous Moremi Hall. And they usually gave more because I did science, I did chemistry education. Do you understand? So I was closer, I needed to be closer to science department. So they would give you Moremi Hall and all of those things. So I was in Moremi Hall and there was always party. And then as God will not help me, year one, my very close friend at the time, our
Was
boy,
a party goer.
our boyfriend was not, well, had already graduated, was already working in LRS. So it
Okay.
comes to pick her up from Thursday, we're already partying.
Wow.
Do you understand? So I just felt, well, enjoy your life. If God really loves you, He made you sick. This day, better enjoy the little time you have and all of those things. That's why I started
Mm.
to just go out and party and all of those things. But thank God again for the foundation. Do you understand? For the word of God. Sometimes you will be in the club, things are happening, and the Holy Spirit will say to me, so if somebody busts bottle here now and begins to break people's head, do you think I'm here? You think
Oh
I'm here
God.
with you? That's what used to ring in my head. So you think I'm here, the Holy Spirit, I'll be inside this club with you to protect you or to guide. That's what used to tell that I used to hear in my voice then. Even though God is with us everywhere. But
Yeah.
you think I appreciate I'll be here, I'm present here. That's what my mind was telling me. I don't think it's the Holy Spirit. Or maybe it was the Holy Spirit, I don't know. People are drinking. So I've had guys coming to me, called guys coming to, thank God I had some, I just had to tell myself, this has to stop. And
Mm.
then I got a flyer. It was just a flyer from Sovereign Army Fellowship. It was City of David, Redeemed Christian Church of God, City of David's branch in Unilag. So I got the flyer, and that was how I started to go back to church. Do you understand? I started to attend fellowship back, and it was a fun place to be. It was a great place. I even joined the drama department. It was fun. It was fun because the word of God was there and people had fun. There was no hypocrisy like other
Mm.
fellowships you will go where people are doing sister, mother, auntie, uncle. They are kneeling down. Then inside the hall, the hostel, you are seeing things. Do you understand? Is this not the lady
Yeah.
that in the church is doing sister, brother, and all of those things, wearing skirts to reach the ground? This is not the same person. So, I used to feel that was hypocrisy. But when I joined Sovereign Army Fellowship, I felt, no, this is the true word. You can be
The real
yourself.
thing.
Yes, be yourself, but the word was impactful for me, and that's how I found my way back to Christ. I think it was God who brought me back to Him.
Yeah, for sure, because
It
he
was
leaves the
definitely
99 to go after the one,
yes,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
he
yeah.
definitely was like, just enjoy
Just
this
enjoy
club, oh,
yourself.
because I'm coming for you.
Enjoy yourself. Just go and enjoy. Just don't wound yourself in the
Sure,
process.
I'll be alive when I get there. Yeah,
Yes, yeah, yes,
that's nice. That's
yeah,
really nice. At least you got to experience all of those things in
yes,
Unila.
yes,
But
yes.
you know how you're in primary school and then you go to secondary school and then you go to university. It's
Mhm.
always a new terrain. Like for every single person, you might not go with the same set of people that you knew in the previous
Yeah.
school. So,
Yeah.
how did you navigate friendships? Did you ever feel like, so, initially everybody comes into class and, oh, hi, hi, hello, hello. But maybe when they start to see that, okay, this person is always missing school, or something
Mm,
happens and she faints, or, there's just some talk around
mm-hmm.
town,
Yeah.
did you find that it made it difficult for you to form those bonds of friendship, or did it even make people gravitate towards you just because they wanted to help you? Like, what was your experience?
Okay, I'd mentioned earlier that my mom always said to me,
Yeah,
you don't
I
have to
remember.
mention to
Mm-hmm.
anybody. It's recently when I started my YouTube channel that most of my classmates were sending me messages like, really?
Are you
You're
kidding?
yes.
That means you didn't really used to have crisis, or you were not like in boarding school.
I was in the hostel, but I wasn't in the hostel with my classmates. It's
Mm,
different when you're in the same hostel with your classmates. Do you
yeah.
understand? You're in the same room with your classmates. Then they would
Mm-hmm.
have known. But I wasn't in the same hostel with my classmates. If I don't appear in school, I can give a reason why.
Like, yeah, many people don't
Uh,
come to class.
I didn't feel like coming to class, or I partied, or I went somewhere. I didn't need to tell people. Even when I was in the hospital, in the health center, I didn't used to mention. I only just
Oh.
told the people, my family. So I didn't mention to anyone. Do you understand? It was my closest friends. But there was one person, the one that I told you that we used to party then,
Mm-hmm.
she knew. She knew my health situation. But what happened then was that this my friend who was always going, we're always partying together, was making plans to travel abroad to study. So
Oh.
so we stayed together. In fact, she helped me a great deal. She's a fantastic person. She helped me a great deal. She's very caring and all of those things. But she was making these plans. I think she had already written some external exams. She was making plans personally. Maybe her family had also told her not to share. And by year two, she had gotten admission to travel. And we were in different departments. So
Your party
different
friend, only you now will
departments.
be going for party.
And
Wow.
my sister, no, see what now even happened. My year one, the exam it was in shambles.
I was going to say that this lady
So
didn't
me that
even
I
need
was
to
enjoying
pass.
myself partying. My my exam was in shambles.
Oh
Meanwhile,
God.
my friend was packing her bag to Vamus. Do
She
you
didn't even
understand?
care about the
So she just told me
results.
that she got admission. She didn't go. Which results? What's her own results? That she's traveling, so she's not going to be with us in year two. God, this is how I was looking at her like I was betrayed, like I was stabbed in the back. And so I had to
Wow.
now begin to look for new sets. So you imagine going to the course advisor in year two that you have not met before, and then trying to look for classmates my year one was a joke. Oh. My year one was a bloody joke. But year two, I found friends, and they were the ones who helped me out. Where have you been? Are you in our department? Because in year one, then it's everybody
Yeah,
together.
it's always like general
It's
courses.
all the
Mm.
courses, general courses together. So people really didn't know who was who until year two. And so you're in chemistry department, chemistry, and then that's how I found my friends, and it was easy for me to navigate. But the thing is, like I said before, I didn't really share my health situation with
Mm.
them. And then my mommy had helped build up my self-esteem in some way, that don't let anyone look down on you. Don't.
Mm.
You have to carry yourself high. My mom will say to me, choose your friends. See me, I don't have many. You don't see people coming to the house to say, yeah, come, where is mama, this person? You don't see. I
Mhm.
only have 3 or 4
Yeah.
friends. You know their names. I don't go. You choose your friends. It gives you respect. It does this. So I always trust my friends. Some people used to feel it was arrogance. I was proud,
Mm.
So I really didn't talk to a lot of people, especially in year two when Oh, people now knew that, oh, so you're actually in our department. Do you understand? So I'm like, I'm here, okay. So I just had one friend, one or two friends, and so I didn't have to say much to anyone, and I didn't give people the chance to put me down. I didn't give them
Wow.
the opportunity to. No, I didn't give people the opportunity to put me down. So I was always ready. You know, when you ready to attack, you know that kind of look that you have that people, you know, I've had people come walk up to me and say you are proud.
Mm.
And for me, it wasn't pride. I was just
It
trying
was
to save
protection.
myself. It was protecting myself as my mom has taught me to. You know, it wasn't pride. It was just protecting myself, not being going too close to people and letting people share unnecessary things with you and then make silly talks. So I just gave
Mm.
space. I used to give people space a lot. So I just had one or two very close friends, and I didn't really used to talk to a lot of people. And so people didn't have cause to know when I was ill. People really didn't have cause to know, except my very close friends who were not in the same school, but they were older. So if
Oh
I was
yeah.
ill, they would come from their offices to just come and see me and all of that. And I didn't have so much friends like that.
Hmm. So
So it was easy
knowing
for me
what
in
you
the
know
university.
now, knowing what you know now, right? Would you look back and do you think that that strategy you would do it again? Like imagine that, we all got the opportunity to relive our lives and all of those things. Do you think you would do the exact same thing? Would you advise, maybe a young girl now who's navigating the same thing to sort of protect herself in that same way?
To a large extent, I will probably do that. Maybe better. Do you
Mm.
understand? Maybe better, and not be seen as a snob. You can be seen
Yeah,
as
you would know how
quiet,
to balance it.
reserved.
I get it.
Yes, just to know how to balance it so that you're not totally seen as proud or arrogant or a snob, as some people have called me, say you're a snob, you're arrogant, you're this and that. Because my looks alone, when you're talking to me, then the look I'm already giving you is already, what nonsense is this one saying? Do you understand? And that was the kind of protection I was giving for myself. So, but I would just advise people, don't go that route. Don't make it feel as if you cannot be talked to. Don't give, because my body language is crazy. Jonah, I
Mm.
think that's why I'm in acting. That's why I can direct plays, because it's in my body. I'm a drama queen. So
Wow.
I already give you the look of, please just move one corner. I don't have time
Just
for all of
stay
this.
far.
You know, stay far. Like if you want to be happy in your life, stay far away from me. You know, that kind of a look. So, but
Wow.
I would advise people that it's better that you are nice. You don't have to share if you don't want to share, but be approachable, be nice. Do you understand? And really, if you're sick and you don't want the people that you want to know, that you are sure will keep your secret your secrets. You should just learn to choose your friends, like my mom will say. Not
Yeah.
everybody should know, because the truth is, everybody wants to use another person to shine.
Mm.
Do you understand? They want to use your own to shine on you. So they want to be the first to share that, they know that you are Sickle and all of those things. So everybody wants to use another person to shine. So just be careful of who you're telling what,
Yeah.
and the kind of friends you keep around you. There is a safe place for you. It's not everyone that is a safe place. But even at that, be nice. Have a good charisma to people, because you don't even know where your help will come from. Do you understand? So yeah, that's what I would advise anyone. I will repeat it, but not in the way that I did.
Not in the exact same, I mean, the same concept, but maybe with a little tweaks here and there, just based on
Yeah.
maturity and, the gift
Maturity,
of
yeah.
hindsight
I
and all of
think it's
that.
maturity.
Mm-hmm.
Maturity to know that, look, nobody's fighting you. Just
It's
do
not that
things.
deep now.
It's not
Nobody
that
is.
deep. Like, calm down. Yeah, just
I
go
was just
to
laughing when you were talking because I was like, I did a 5 year course. So by the time I got to year five, and it was engineering, so predominantly guys. And I went to an all girls secondary school. So imagine I kind of entered school. I don't want to say
the.
socially awkward, but I wasn't like used to talking to guys and all of that. So I
Mm-hmm.
used my protection was because I didn't know how to navigate, talking to guys and all of that. I just had this thing that is just like you, like
Straight look,
you better keep
straight
off.
face. Yeah,
so, so
keep
by the
off.
time I go to year five,
I
guys will be like, "Oh wow, you're actually so nice. Like I never thought I would ever talk to you. I thought you were a snob. I thought you were proud, like the exact
uh,
same things." So I was just laughing in
exactly.
my head, and I was
Yeah,
thinking, "This is my
yeah.
life story."
You are remembering yourself as I was describing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And another thing
Yes,
was that
yes.
my mom would tell me that I had a look. For the life of me, till today, I don't know what that look was. But like sometimes her friends would be like, "Why are you looking at me like that?" In my head, I'm thinking, like, how? I'm just looking. I
How
genuinely
am
was
I
just
looking at
looking.
you?
But they said that I had this look that I would look at you like you're not there. I don't know what that means.
Leg, yeah.
So I,
Or look
I
at
had to start
you
to
look
work
at
on the
you
way I
like
even looked at people.
looked. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In fact, my husband to be, I say my husband to be, my husband that I'm married to now, you know, it was even someone that made us, that made him lose interest in me because he was talking to me and he was expressing his grievance or his anger towards me because of something that happened. But because of the way I was looking at him while he was trying to explain, do you understand? The guy
Mhm.
came and said, Demi, I beg
You're
you.
talking to
If you see this way this girl was looking at you like you're shit, what
oh no.
nonsense is this useless person saying? Do you understand? I don't know how I was looking. I was just trying to understand what he was saying. And then the person came and,
Mm.
but thank God for if God says this is the person you're going to marry, there's nothing you can
Because
do,
that was actually
you
going to
know.
be my next
Yeah,
question
so
to you. With all of this protection,
mm-hmm.
and facade, and not really sharing, I was going to ask you, so how did you navigate, romantic relationships? How did you ever let, any guy pass that facade? Like, how did you get comfortable? Were you even worried that, knowing what you knew about your diagnosis, were you ever worried
Yeah.
that, okay, maybe like love was not for you and marriage and all of those things?
Of course, you will have that fear. There was that fear that I might not get the actual person for me. Do you understand
Mm,
that? Because, you know, not like I didn't get the people who liked me. Do you
mm.
understand? But, you know, some people will come that will really like you crazy, and you don't like them.
Ah, yeah,
Do you
for
understand? The
sure.
feeling is not mutual. Do you understand? And it happened to
Mm-hmm.
me several times that there are guys that came that really liked me, and I'm looking at them like, but am I supposed to really love this person? Because I don't love this person. And some people would just, my mom would just look at me and like I don't understand. Do you know that you are SS? And look
Oh,
at me like you should be jumping at
that you
this.
should settle.
The kind of
Mm.
not like hey, not like my mom was really advising me to settle, but she the look of this girl, it's like you're not concerned about your health
Mm.
matter. You're not thinking about your health matters. But some of the relationships I had then, is either I didn't like them or the ones I liked once they found out because a lot of they didn't know my health until I told them. They didn't know my health situation. I think everyone that I dated did not know my health situation until I told them. Do you understand? Until I told them that this is it. And so for those that I dated that I really liked, once I told them there was this change,
Mm.
behavioral change towards me, there was this withdrawal, that they had, the few people that I really liked. and I was hoping, but there was this withdrawal about them that just made me feel uncomfortable. And anyone who wasn't going to love me for who I am, there was no point going into it. Right. So I had relationships. But you know what also helped me? What really helped me was finding God early, like I said. In year two, I told you that I had returned back to God, maybe second semester. But by my first semester, I was dating an engineering guy. He was in his year four. And this guy, a guy when he's telling you that I would be the one to disvirgin you. Do you understand? It will not take me anything. He was too confident of himself. I really liked this
Mm.
guy. I was in year one. Do you understand? I was in year one now, and he was would take me anywhere. I know you didn't like now. Take me anywhere, go and have fun and all of those things. And so he had promised me that I'm the one that would do this thing. I'm like, no, I mean, no, I've not done it. He said, so you're a virgin. What are you keeping your virginity for? Like, is it for one guy that we end up rubbishing you and everything? It's not all virgins that get married to the best husband and all of those things. And then I said to him, I said, who told you I'm a virgin because of a man? Do you
Mm.
understand? I'm a virgin because I want to keep. No, I didn't say anything. I just told him I'm a virgin because of a man. And so when I went back to my hostel, I was like, the thing kept ringing that what this guy is saying is true. Some virgins get married to the most foolish guys ever. Do you
Mm.
understand? And it's not like their marriage is rewarding. So why are you a virgin? Why are you keeping yourself anyway? And then the Spirit of God told me, are you keeping yourself for a man, or are you keeping yourself as because you are the temple of God?
Ah, exactly.
You understand? So yeah, so I reiterated that. So when we had our last talk, I said, I'm not keeping myself. I think I sent him a message. I'm not keeping myself because of a man. I'm keeping myself because I'm the temple of God. And he laughed. But thank God that at that time, my fellowship, something had happened, and then they had given a law that every worker cannot date again, except they are probably in year four or something. Some silly thing happened in our fellowship at the time. And so it was an excuse for me to run away from this
Oh,
guy.
wow.
And so that's how I did not date from year two till I finished school. I said that for relationships. So now when after school, I now started to meet people. I was now ready to meet people. But people that I met, do you understand, was either I didn't like them or the ones I liked were giving me attitude when I told them about my health situation. Do you understand? And for me, marriage was, first of all, you have the in quotes what you want in a guy. You have the list. Your head should be tall,
Mm-hmm.
dark, handsome, this, that, have money, should be able to take care of this. But at some point, with maturity and the kind of church that I attended, my pastor had said to us, tear that list, tear it, throw it on the ground, and ask God to choose for you. So,
Mm.
yes, I was afraid that we will not make love. I was afraid, but I've had people who have really loved me that I have broken up the relationship because I didn't have that mutual love with them. And those who I really liked, but they are just, I don't want to use the word, they were not serious. Do you understand? Or when they found out that I had SS, they withdrew. And so, but I found my husband. I guess it was God
Mm.
that brought
Tell us
my
about that.
husband to my life. It was God, F-way. This was God bringing my husband to my life. I'd finished my studies, I'd finished school. I was just writing my project. So I'd moved to my cousin's house that was close to school. So my cousin they were not going to Redeem Church, they were going to another church. So I joined them. So I was in that church for a long time, I think for 5 years. I was going to church with them. But then I was head of children's department there and all of those things. But something drew me. The church close to me by my auntie's house, the church close to me then, a church just opened close to my house. And that time I was going to church. And my sister said, this church you are going to, There's another church here, is Redeem, back home, what you have always known. These are fine guys. That means you're not a small girl anymore. See, fine boys. That time it's a new
Hey God, I
church.
bet.
You don't understand. It was a new church. It was a new church,
How did she see
new
the fine
RCC
guys in the
leader just
church?
opened. My sister, she came to see me my auntie's house, and she stayed over. And I was saying I was going to my own church, which was far away. I said, this church you are even going, they are
The
going
way
far.
you're looking
They
for
have
in
not seen
Sokoto.
anybody that is I'm do you understand? It's yeah. I said I'm not looking for. It's not husband that is carrying me to church now. I'm getting there to serve God. He said you will serve God and you will do everything together. See better. See guys, and that time guys were out, welcome team, trying to welcome people to church. And so that's how she dragged you. See, if you're not going, I'm not following you to church. She had dragged me to that church. And one way or the other, because something happened with my old church, something happened I don't want to share with my old church that affected my heart and my faith in God somehow. Then I moved to Redeem Church. But gradually, I moved to this Redeem Church. And this time my husband was working in the church office. I was working in Green Springs, it was
Biscuits.
N50. So then in 2012 or so, or 2013 or 14. So I was now going to this church, but I decided to join the workforce again. And then I started to lead. I think I was running summer school in the church, and I needed to connect. I needed to work with my husband at the time to get money from the church to get materials. So we always had to meet. And we always had arguments when we met, about how money should go and all that. I'm like, me, it doesn't concern me. Oh. Me, I need to teach these children. We need food today. We need marker. We need board. We need this. I will take out of the money and I will use it to buy what I need. The remaining, I will give it to you. Write it there that I've used part of the money. You say it doesn't go that way. I say, me, I'm not a procedure. I don't know how to do that procedure. Me, I've taken what I need. This is what is left. So yeah, take and go and handle it. So we always had that issue, that quarrel. My husband joined the drama team because of me,
Oh,
because I
wow.
was head of drama unit. So he joined the drama team because of me. But me, I didn't like him. I didn't like him then. I was in a relationship anyway. So my eyes was not there. I didn't like him. But he was a very good person. Can go the extra mile for anybody then. So everybody in the church office, everybody was always, pay me, pay me, pay me, they need this, pay me. It was always him and all of those things. And I knew he liked me, but me, I was in a relationship and I didn't send him, and we're not, in my mind, we're not compatible, all of those things. And so I think, like one thing I told you, that there was one argument that happened that one guy said the way I was looking at him and all of those things. So he stopped, he just gave me a gap after some time
Okay,
and
yeah.
all of that. But yeah, after that time, he just gave me that gap. But me, I would just see him and play with him that, man, I'm not fighting you. What's my own with you? Come on, I need this thing. He was still doing for me, but he just gave me that space. But when I saw him, I would still tease him. I used to tease him a lot and all of those things. Well, he was a good person. He was in Sunday school department. He was a Sunday school teacher. He was a good person and he did so much wonderful work for God. And, then he traveled. He said, I think he was going to study and all of that. We still used to talk, and we used to tease ourselves on phone and all of those things. And then finally, he had the courage to ask me out. I just started to laugh,
Before he
like
traveled or
after
after he
all
had
these
traveled?
years. This was even after he traveled. He came
Mm.
back some time ago, and I teased them like, "How can you be looking like this? You travel to study. See how you are looking. Maybe you cannot even dress up and look like a fine boy, and even talking this and look very. Where are you coming from like this?" He just laughed at me and said, "Oh, he's coming from somewhere and all of this." I said, no, 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 no. You should look like so. But because me, I don't care. I will just open my mouth and talk about like that. But we're still friends and all of those things. So, but like I said, we used to still tease ourselves. But what made me What made me was when he was going for his masters. I was like, oh, so this guy even has a vision. He has
Yeah.
a drive. He's not settling. That was
Mm-hmm.
what made it intriguing for me. That, oh, well, this guy is not settling. For him to think of, I'm going to further to do this and, to better myself, that already gave him an edge for me that, okay, this person is not settling. He wants more for himself and all of that. But we still got talking on phone and all of that. So when he asked me out, I just laughed. I told my pastor's wife and she laughed and all of those things. I said, give him a chance. I'm not saying you should go and marry him or date him. Just give him a chance. Be his friend. He's from a good family and all of those things. He's a nice person, which you know. He's a Christian. He knows the word of God and all of those things. And that made me start to, we just became friends. And I just told him, you know what? Immediately I told him, immediately he said this. I just told him, I said, you know what? After I spoke to my pastor, I said, you know what? I want to tell you something. I just want to be clean and clear. I am SS and I'm not ready for hanky panky. I am SS. And I have a lot of baggage I'm carrying. He said, oh, you're SS. Okay, I'm AA. I'm AA. I mean to have a lot of baggage I'm carrying. We will carry the
Hmm.
baggage together. You know,
Wow.
for me, that was already okay. This is
Hmm.
someone who did not have any question whatsoever for whether I'm SS or I'm not SS, baggage or no baggage. He was just ready. And he says, I'm ready for this. I'm not getting any younger, and it's you I want to marry. I'm like, okay, take
Ah.
it easy.
Oga.
Take it easy. Like,
No, let
oh
us
God,
clap
calm
before
down.
we start dancing. Ah,
Like, I don't understand. Calm down. I don't understand. Why marriage came? We have not even started talking. I
it
said, why
was
are you
a
saying
man that
marriage?
but he just said it that he knew what he wants, he had the vision, he went after the
Yes,
things he wanted. Yeah.
exactly. Do you know that he said when we had that issue that I told you that that guy said something, he started to date. I knew his girlfriend.
Oh.
I knew his girlfriend used to come to church at the time. I knew his girlfriend then. So when he said all those things and I was laughing and all of those, I said, your babe, because maybe I know your babe. Even though she didn't used to attend our church. I know your babe now, and all of those things. He now laughed. He said, I know they are no longer together and all of those things. I said, you know what, me, I also just came out of a 2 year relationship and I want to let my head calm down. So let's just be friends. Let's just be friends on this and just talk and know where this is going to lead. But for now, let's just be friends. And so we just became friends. We just used to talk and all of that. When he calls me too much, I say, hey, Oga, why are you calling me too much? His friends that will say, I'm working, I'm busy, and all of those things. Until I think 2 or 3 months later, he said to me, he said, look, I'm not growing any younger. I want to settle down and all of those things. And I'm like, okay, let's pray about it and all of that. But at this time, I was even more mature. I guess
Yeah.
I was 31. I was more mature. Mature in the sense that I've seen that it is not about all the lists, all the I want a fine boy, I want someone who can speak well, I want someone who is clean, I want someone who is that. It's not all of that that works. Do you understand? It's not all of that that makes a good marriage. So what do I want in a guy? I remember going to camp to pray for 3 days. I was fasting for 3 days. I went to redemption camp and I said, this season, I think I was on holiday then, and I cut off everything. This was in August. I didn't, no calls, nothing. I put everybody, even my ex-boyfriend was calling me at the time that his father wants to see me. Everybody, I just cut them off. And I put the people that were on the list, on my list case then, and I put them on my list. And I put them down, presented it to God. I was fasting 3 days dry fast. And I said, God, these are the names. I will go for prayer walk. I'll come back. And then God made me put all their names down. Don't forget, I told you that he traveled back one time and was looking funny one time. I was saying, the travel said, do not show your body that you
No
traveled.
show.
Do you understand? So I put all of them down. And God says, do you want in a marriage, not in a man? That was the question the question that came to me. I said, I want someone who would love me. I want someone who would care. I want someone who would see me as his own. And I wrote their names down, and God was asking me to tick. My sister, of
Which one
all the
has
things,
this?
my sister is
Hmm.
only him that took all of it, almost all of them. It
Hmm.
was the only one. So God now said to me, so is it the one that you have butterflies in your belly that you want, or the one that
Hmm.
will give you peace? When I wrote in my we're 8 years now, I wrote there that I didn't have butterflies in my belly when I married my husband. I had caterpillars. I know how caterpillars will walk inside you, you'll be irritated. That was what I had when I married my husband. True.
I've not heard this one before. Caterpillars.
That caterpillar put my belly. You know, I said I almost passed out on my wedding day. Like
Jesus.
I went blank because I didn't sleep a night before. I was just thinking, is it the best thing for you? If this person wants to come and marry you, that you are supposed to be prim and
Hmm.
proper, and all those things were coming to my head. But you see, one thing my pastor's wife said is, he would, if a man loves you, even my boss said to me, if a man loves you, you can make him, you can not make him, but you can you can make him do many things that you want
Yeah.
if he
Yeah.
loves
Like
you.
he would. Yeah, I get it. Hmm.
He would change things because of you.
Yeah. Like
Do
he
you
will go
understand?
the extra mile. He will
Extra
put in the
man.
work.
Yes, he will put in the work because he wants you to be happy.
Not
So
the one that
that is
doesn't send you.
that's what not the one that doesn't send you. Do you understand? That was what gave me the comfort. Do you understand? Because I know my husband loves me crazy. Do you understand? And he will put in the extra work, and he is doing every day. He's putting in extra work. When I'm not
Hmm.
feeling, sometimes if I say I have a headache, he will say I should go and sleep. I should go and sleep. He will continue doing what I'm doing. Oh, he will continue.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how much my husband loves me.
Oh.
My boss said it is better for a man to feel that way for you, because women we grow to love people who care for us and our
Yes.
children. It will come automatically for you as a woman.
Hmm.
Do you just need to get a man who loves you crazy? Like that's why
Wow.
God says, that's why God has given the responsibility of love to a
To.
man,
Hmm.
and a woman is just to submit, because it's
True.
easier for
True.
a woman to love somebody who cares about her well-being and her children. It's just, well, some silly women who want more, who want some silly fake vague things. Do you understand? Child of God will love a man who is caring. This my boss,
Yeah.
I said, advised me this thing. Myself and I, it was the same day. Not the same day we got married. Like our marriage anniversaries are the same day.
Oh
She said,
wow.
I didn't have goosebumps for my husband. But now, if my husband is not at home, I can have high blood pressure. Is that
Hmm.
is that crazy? I love him so crazy. I wonder that how did I fall in love with this guy? Do you understand?
Hmm.
But someone, if a man cares for you, Celia loves you very much, but you should also have some likeness. So it's not like you don't even like him at all. No,
Not like you hate the person.
not like
Or
you
he
hate the
irritates you.
person.
Like you can't
No,
even
no,
stand
no,
his
no.
sight. No.
You like the person. It's just that he loves you crazy. It's better for a
Yeah.
man to be falling over the hills in love with you than for you to be doing the loving. Because if you are the one doing the loving, it's going to be hard though. And truth be
But in
told,
terms of, even navigating that whole marriage, getting, ready, introducing you to the in-laws, how did that go? Because of course, he would need to tell his parents and maybe his
yeah,
siblings that this is my wife, or this is
you,
the situation.
you know
So
what's even funny? I told you that, okay, you know how funny people are, and that's why sharing things with people is not even, like I said, my mom said, be careful how you
mm,
share things. I started to share about my health situation with people, maybe around when I was close to 30, maybe 30 or 29, because we had a program in church and they were talking about sickle cell, someone marrying sickle cell. It's not, and people are just making us, it's not good though. How can they do that? Sickle cell, they'll just die. And like, and I carried the mic. I said, excuse me. That's why I opened up that day.
mm,
Excuse me. I am sickle cell. I am
everybody was
30.
shocked.
Yes, they were all looking at me. I'm 30 years. There
Wow.
was a woman that came to give a testimony in our church, a mother, she was going to be 70, she clocked 70. I said, I'm sickle cell. It's not that bad. We are not demons. If the person is already married and already has a sickler, there are ways that they can work with this thing. Do you
Mm.
understand? No make it look as if it's a death sentence. Yes, it's not good for a child to have pain and all of those things. But if it's something that you've done, a lot of times people get misdiagnosed in the country, the
Yeah,
part of
yeah,
where I come.
yeah. I
A
mean,
lot of
I even
people,
know someone, well, I don't know them. I would rather say someone on social media. Anyway, she was
yeah,
sharing. She's also, she's a warrior.
yeah,
She was sharing how her brother or her sister, one of them is her relative, married somebody else. They both lived abroad. So they had tested and gotten, their genotype. It was when they gave birth to a child that was
was
SS that they
that they
realized that they had been like the genotype
misdiagnosed.
was wrong.
Yes, so they do it. There's a lot of that in our country where we are coming from, Nigeria.
This
There's a
was even abroad. That's
okay,
what made it worse. They
uh,
both lived abroad. So she
God,
was then saying that if you live abroad and you want to get married, you come back home to retest. Even though
uh,
I know that the whole genotype thing is very, very
in
tricky, you have
Nigeria
to do it
too.
multiple times because I
Yes,
had always been AA. When I
uh-huh.
was getting married, they then brought genotype for me that was AS.
uh,
Ah, I say,
yes, so
shoot.
it's
What
funny.
happened?
So
My
then,
mother is AA. Because my mother and father are both AA, I told the nurse that no, this cannot be correct. And she was like, oh, what's the genotype? I told her, I think she just carried it back and went to change it like that
mhm.
crazy.
you know so a lot of people get misdiagnosed. I was sharing that time because I was so bitter with the way people saw sickle cell then. Like, this is the 21st century, how can you be saying this? So I had to correct a
Mm.
lot of things that day. That no, I'm sickle cell anemia, and to God be the glory. I'm 30 years. It's God that has kept me to this. I know it's worse for some other people, but once people begin to understand the sickness, people begin to understand how to treat themselves, well, stay away from cold. Like you said, what are the things that I wanted to do that restricted me? I love to swim, but I couldn't. I wasn't allowed to swim. I would have wanted to be a basketballer. It was
Oh,
my
wow.
dream to become I loved basketball, but I can't do vigorous sports. I have to wake up
Mm.
to the reality. There are some jobs that I love to do. I can't do those jobs. I
Mm.
can't. I can't do those jobs. For example, I'm a photographer, for example. I can add videography to it. But you see those I don't know what they call those things that they used to carry. I used to see the
Yeah.
people carry, see the muscle that they have. I say, see this one see the muscle is used to carry this thing. My sister, you can't lift
Mm.
it. So just stay, day your own day. Carry your camera that you can carry. Do you understand? I can't say, oh, because I want to go and be. And then I go and be carrying gun beats, what they used to call those big, big things. I can't do it. So you know
Mm.
yourself. Know your child, know what to give them, know what to take them away from, make them understand what they are facing early, and love
So,
them.
I mean, you had shared in church. So, did your in law sort of already know that
So I had an
this was your.
in-law, I had an in-law in my church. Yeah, I had an in-law in
Oh.
my church. Aside that, we already had friends. No, we both were in workforce together. Myself and my husband work as a
Mm.
training together, you know. And there was this very nice uncle very like an uncle to me, that when I was going to marry, they told him that I hope she's SS. All of them were telling her, I hope she's
Mm.
SS. I hope it's not because she cannot find a relationship that she's coming to you. I'm like, come on. I was in a relationship when you called me. Now, maybe it was me that was I not in a relationship? It wasn't hard for me to find a relationship. Relationship was not an issue.
Mm.
Because any guys are ready to do, it's just commitments
Yeah.
with the right person. Relationship is not an issue with anybody. You can be in a relationship with as many people as you want, but it's getting the right person for you, the God sent person for you that mattered. Do you understand? And my husband is actually God sent to me. Is God sent to me. I can't but overemphasize it. It was
Mm.
God sent to me. Like, The reason why I said so is because when I joined our church, we had just 1 year window to meet each other. And we worked together because I had to do work together with him. He joined my department. And the following year, he traveled. So you can imagine if I did not join the church at that time, he probably would have traveled.
Like that your was that your friend or your sister or your cousin?
My
Like you have to
sister,
be paying
it was my
tight.
younger
So
sister. It
oh, it
was
was
my
your
younger
sister.
sister.
Hmm.
I should pay tithes, Abby.
Like
She was the one that said, but he was not part of those guys anyway. He wasn't part of the guys that we saw outside.
but she knew that there
Well,
was a guy there for you. That's
she
the main
just,
thing.
she just said, see, babe, come back to redeem. This is where you're meant to be. This where you're going far away. You
Wow.
enter bus, 2 buses before you get to church. It's not like they really appreciate the way I say they appreciate me. She said, come here. So they will do this. That's
Wow.
why
So the in-laws just had to sort of accept because he knew what he
he
wanted.
wanted. So he knew what he wanted. And he had said to them, this, and it's the kind of family he comes from, they are not forceful people. That's
They're not
another
bossy.
thing.
Like they want to tell you what you must do
What
with
to
your life.
do? No, they can't. They are not people like that. They will share their
Mm,
own opinion. If you like, take it. If you like, don't take it.
yeah.
So they are a
Fantastic.
loving family also. They are very closely knitted. They are six
Mm,
and they are tight. They are very closely
wow.
knitted. And someone will tell them, this is what he wants. And he's the last child.
Ah,
He's the last child. So they say, whatever they tell, it's whatever Demi wants that he will say he wants. Nobody can argue with. In fact, sometimes if they want him to do something, they will have to call me to please talk to him. And that's kind of a family that you can be in. Do you understand? Not a family that sees themselves as rivals and there's always beef
yeah.
here and there. But yeah, that
Beautiful.
it's been a blessing to me, himself and the family. Yeah, they've been a
Wow.
wonderful blessing to me. They made me see life in a different perspective. Yeah, they made me see
Wow.
life
Such an
better.
amazing story. Such an amazing, amazing testimony, right? Because I mean
This
this
is
is
this
this is
is
very
long. This
inspiring.
story is long.
It's very inspiring
Mm.
because I mean, even like without the extra, thing around sickle cell and all, just the average person, even getting married to the right person and all of that, that's like, yeah, people can have
You
very
get
challenging
that and
experiences, right? So even though you had this thing, it didn't
mhm.
stop you
How
from
much more?
finding the man that God had in store for you. So he had built
Man,
someone that
bad for
was,
me.
fit for
Yeah.
purpose, that could navigate life with you.
For
And I
me.
have to ask you this as well when it comes to career, because you've shared so many things that you are doing, you know, I don't know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
we hear about sickle cell and it always looks like, it sort of slows people down. You can't really achieve many things that you want to achieve. So, yes,
Yeah.
it may have stopped you from doing certain activities,
Yeah.
but you were not devoid of activities. Oh. Like, you have always been very, very busy. So, how have
I
you been
wasn't.
able to, still reach for your goals and
Yes.
achieve the
So
things that you want to achieve?
yes. So like I said earlier, schooling was hard for me. Do you understand? Schooling was hard because I always missed school. And by the time I came back to school, it looked as if, what is this German that they are saying?
Mm.
Because I've missed a gap. I've lost some space. So I don't understand it again. So I'm
Trying
like,
to
how did
catch
we
up.
arrive at this? Trying to catch up. And it's most of the time I'm always trying to catch up because I have
Mm.
missed school. I've missed school. So it was hard for me to actually choose a career. It was really hard for me. But one thing that helped me was also, like I say, my mother. My mother
Mm.
helped me a lot. How do I mean? Um, she would say, you can do anything you want to do.
Mm.
Do you understand? She said, you can do whatever you want to do. I believe you should even go and be a doctor. I said, that don't go too far. I don't like blood. I don't like to see blood or all those things. So I think she actually wanted me to be a doctor. So you are strong. Don't see yourself as weak. So she used to always say to me, we had a neighbor then who also was SS. The mother used to make him do a lot of things. He would carry cylinders and all of those things. So then I would carry things. My mother would send me to Mushi markets. as at age 12 to go and buy stuff. So she didn't used to say, don't see yourself as weak. So my mother always put that in my head. Don't see yourself as weak. Oh yeah, come and go to the market. Go and buy these things. Go and do this for me. Go and do that for me. Go and carry that thing. So she never saw me as she can't do it, she can't carry it, she can't. Don't see yourself as weak. Do you understand? It is the disease, and it's just that you will watch it. Don't stretch it too much. And when she sees that I'm tired, I'm already getting issues, okay, I shouldn't carry anymore. Don't do it. Oh yeah, go and rest. But she didn't, when he says, okay, go and do something, she didn't say, okay, because you are this. Oh yeah, your sister, go and do it. No, it's two of us that will go and carry it. It's two of us that will go and do the stuff. There was nothing like this person is. So already that had helped my mindset. Do you understand? It had helped my mindset that I'm not seeing myself as weak. Do you understand? Even though there are some things that I knew that I couldn't do. Do you understand? But there was no harm in trying. Try it. If you see that it's burning your hand, you will leave it and try another one.
Yeah. Rather than
There's this
taking
thing.
yourself out of the opportunity completely without even trying.
Yes. When my mommy started business, they used to call her Bobolo. Bobolo means jack of all trades. My mother used to do if this one is not working, it's another one she will open. If this one will give her any stress, she close it down, starts another one. That's how my mother is. Do you understand? So do whatever will make you happy. If this one is not working, go on. But just don't do the one that will kill you. And so I didn't mind dabbling into it. In school, I had followed creative arts department to go and act movie in Agbara in the village. We went to go and do a pick of Oya in cold weather in the village that will be using well water to have our baths. I've gone there to do before. I used to do ushering in school then to collect, I think that is 5,000 they used to give us when we go and do ushering. We'll go and usher somewhere in maybe a party. They give us 5,000 at the end of the day. Do you understand? To hold for pocket money. I did those things. But the thing is, I didn't just do things that are heavy duty things that maybe
You
carried
knew
lot
your
of
limits, but you
yes.
didn't use the limitations as
I
an
knew my limits.
excuse to not show up at all.
Excuse not to just hair. So I used to do things. So when I did those events, I went to events. My auntie had this weddings fair stuff. So we did training for 3 weeks. I tried it, event plan. But the thing is, with the event planning is a lot of work, especially when you're planning events in my country, Nigeria. Now, it's not a joke. The way people like party in Nigeria, the event planning was it's not a joke. Do you understand? It's stressful. And then it also clashed with my work. So I put that down after a while. It was clashing with my work. Events started to happen during weekdays. And I'm a teacher. I can't leave. I'll be leaving school I'll be giving excuses. I say, oh, sorry, I have something somewhere. I'll give one excuse. I'm going for event planning. And it didn't make sense. How long will I do that for? So I stopped that. I stopped event planning. And then I went to, I think, a makeup. I did makeup, but it wasn't giving me what I want. I wasn't gelling then. So I stopped that. And what did I do again? I was doing supply for NBC. I'll go and buy. I had this friend who was working in NBC, so I'll go and buy stuff. Maybe they had expatriates coming, so I will go and buy like what do they used to call these people? I've forgotten them. When those people that purchase things in the offices. I've forgotten. Procurement. So that was me. I will go and buy stuff, kitchen equipment, all those things. So I had that. I was able to, because my mom had already prepped me that you can do anything. It's just that
I remember you had shared in one of our prayer meetings around the fact that you had an interview and then you had a crisis and you left the hospital bed, and I'm like,
it was this year.
What's happening, girl?
It was this year.
That's the level of, what do I want to say? I don't even know the audacity, whether it's courage,
my sister,
whether it's commitment, whether it's drive, determination. I don't even know what to use, but I was
year.
wild.
It was this year. you know, this finish course, I've been doing finish course. I've learned the course to 2.2, but you know, the course I want to do, they are not giving me. They say I should go and do Layoita. Everybody say, all the advisors, I should go and do and Layoita is auxiliary nurse. This is, my mom wanted me to be a doctor. This is many years ago. I said no. Isn't auxiliary nurse I want to go and be doing now? This is my age. No, I can't do it. So everything I applied for, I wanted to do assistant teacher. I've been a class teacher in an international school for 8 years. Now I want to be assistant teacher is, I'm not priority. The excuses they are giving me is that the people coming out of school, as in the young people coming out of secondary school, most of them pick that course, so they can't give me that course because, do you understand? So it's a no. Unfortunately, every course I applied for is unfortunately. I said, okay, there's no problem. Since nurse, what I went to go and apply for English course in social services. And in that social, there are many people who have written that exam, they didn't pass it. They didn't give them. They now told me that I passed the exam. We did finish exam, we did English exam, and then it was time for interview. That I need to go for interview. And I was on the sick bed. Interview day was going to be I can't even remember. I was on the sick bed having crisis in the hospital. It was our prayer meeting, and I prayed that, please, I have an interview. I'm afraid that I might miss the interview. That they will. I'm just afraid. I just mentioned in the prayer meeting, and Sister Ginika called me and said, "What are you afraid of? You should not be afraid. It's an exam. Know that you will pass it." She didn't understand what I was saying that I was afraid about. And I didn't want to tell her that I was in the hospital bed. This was already, our prayers is usually 11 p.m., but 1 a.m. our own time. So it was 1 a.m. So this sister does not understand, but it's okay. It's okay. So that day, I told them that, please, this cannula on my hand, you people will remove it. This drip that I'm taking, I'm going for interview. They say, they cannot release me. That I said, I finally passed an exam. To do what I want, social services. You people now say I will not go. Jesus will let you people let me go. You people will let me. Because if the doctor say I cannot go, I'm too weak to go, then I will not go.
Yeah.
So I was on the drip. I started to pray that day. I said, these people will let me go. If not, I'll not let the hospital rest. So I prayed, and the following day, they came and said, it was very hard for them to put this cannula. So they are not going to remove the cannula. They've spoken to the doctor. The doctor doesn't think it's a good idea for me to go. But if I insist, I say I insist. So they will let me go. But I must promise that I'll be back before 10 o'clock. I say I'll be back. They should just let me go. And they say I can't go. Immediately, my husband just called the taxi for me because he was at work. Called the taxi for me. I wore my jacket. I went to the place. I spoke to them. I wore my jacket, covered up.
To cover it, yeah.
Spoke and all of those things. And when I finished the interview, they were nodding my mind. And all of it, that's how people nod. You in the interview, you still valid tetavas. Valid tetavas means, unfortunately, it's still valid tetavas. We hear last. When this last name, concerning this one, I have prayed and God has heard. And that's how they sent me message that I passed the interview and they've given me admission. I was so excited about it. Yeah. So I resumed already.
Congratulations.
As a social service student.
Come on, girl. Yeah. I'm so happy for you. Like, this is all shades of inspiring, because many times we think that, when God is in something, it's easy.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. The point is, it might be hard, but I will carry you through it.
Exactly.
To end up successful.
Exactly.
So the presence of contention or the presence of challenges is not the absence of God. In fact, it's not the challenges that you need God. Because it's easy, we won't be doing everything by ourselves, right?
Exactly.
But many people mistake that, for example, a perfect excuse would have been, and it's a genuine one, like, I'm in the hospital, God, you see, okay, maybe the next one and all of that. But I'm
Next
even
one.
shocked that you even thought to think, oh, what? Cannula or no cannula, I'm going to that place. That just shows the level of doggedness,
Yes.
and the level of faith as well, because you even believe that even in this your state, you will go there and say something that even makes sense. Like you didn't cancel yourself that even when I was normal, unfortunately, is it now
That I'm not all
that I'll be
right.
able to say anything that would even make sense to
My
anybody?
sister, I went, even though that day I was cold, I
Hmm.
was shivering, I still spoke the spoken. The day I should speak the finish, I didn't know what I was speaking of. I was just jamming everything together, spoken it. I was saying, in fact, the people that I was speaking with, the students, they are looking at me like, what's this person saying? I'm like, you don't understand it, just pouring out the thing. And the teachers were just amazed and laughing, like, okay. And then I went for my English interview too. And I also spoke. I was sick, but I didn't let
Wow.
that stop me. One thing, like you said, that the presence of God doesn't mean the absence of trouble. But I know that when God is in my boat, I will not sink.
Yeah,
That's the most comforting thing for me.
exactly.
The boat will rock, there will be a
Mm-hmm.
storm,
The
but we will
storms
not
will
sink.
rage. It will look
Yes,
like they're about to fall
I'm
inside.
telling you,
It might get very bad, but
exactly.
you will
These
get to the other
boats,
side.
these boats will not break because Jesus is
Mm,
inside this boat with me. Except Jesus is going to sink.
mm,
If Jesus is not going to sink inside this boat, I am not going to sink. So whatever is shaking this boat will be shaking together. But I'm not going
wow.
to sink. That's my most comforting thing. And that's what has given me joy. I met what also changed my perspective about my health. In year 3 or year 2, I was very ill, almost dying. I met a doctor. At
Mm,
that time, my mom didn't even have money this time. She was no longer working she was working in Julius Baker then, so there was money. But after a while, she stopped, and then after a while, there was no money. So this guy was treating me at home. So he was a pastor. He came to me, and then I was crying and said, "Don't worry, everything's going to be all right," and all of that. I said, "You're a pastor?" I said, "Yes." I said, "And you're sickle cell?" He said, "Yes, I'm sickle cell. I'm going to be 60." I said,
wow.
yes. I said, if God really is God, why does He let us be like this? He said, he laughed. He said, this our illness has nothing to do with God. It's the activities of men that has given us this illness. Did God permit it? Well, it's what we do. Most of the time, this sickle cell anemia, it was a mutation that happened in Africa and all of those things. There's even a case I'm hearing of the people that took vaccination for this coronavirus disease. Something is going to happen and all of that. Have you not heard the news? Something
No,
happened
I'm
for some
not.
set of people that took some set of vaccination and all of
I
those
don't want
things.
to hear that type of news.
Do you understand? So it's activities of men that have caused about this. And don't forget, when God placed a curse, he didn't place a curse he didn't curse the man. He just said the man will toil. But cursed is the ground to which you will toil. He said, and what is this ground? It's the ground where our food comes. The food that we eat is this ground we get it from. The ground is already cursed. The curse is not reversed from the ground. We're still toiling from it, and it's still a lot of where we get our nonsense. You go to the water now to catch fish, you see all sorts of things in the mouth of the fish because of how a lot of people will defecate and throw it inside the water. It's activities of men that bring sicknesses. It's not God. That was what changed the whole perspective for me. That God, don't put God in your sickness. God is
Wow.
not God that gave anybody sickness. It's the activities of men. And since then, you just need to pray that God is with you and He helps you in all of this, helps you thrive. And yeah, I'm sure we've done more than 3 hours. How many hours have we?
No, no, I don't think so. At this point, sincerely, I don't even know, but This has been such an amazing,
Yeah.
time of sharing. As you were just talking about God, I remember just before I came on, I was looking on Instagram and I saw this popular pastor. She's divorced now. And so somebody else was interviewing her on a podcast like this and was like, "Oh, so you said you had heard God that this is your husband. So how come now, you're divorced and all of that? So would you say that wasn't God?" And she looked and she said, "It was God. But there's something called will,
Yeah,
right? It does
exactly.
not interfere with our will." She now said, "Did God not bless Adam in Eden? What
Yes.
happened?"
What
So
happened?
we now say God's plan was not that we should just stay and be balling. We now
You know?
decided that we don't want to ball. We want to go and
Exactly.
suffer. So God said, "Oh, I place before you life and death. Choose life.
Choose life.
Choose."
You choose.
Right?
It's
So you
what to
just
choose.
choose. So that just supported what you were sharing. And like you
Yeah.
said, this has gone on for a very long time. Like maybe we should break it into part one and part two. But thank you so much for sharing.
Thank
And
you. Thank you for
if there
having
was
me.
one thing that you could just say to someone, who is navigating some sort of life crisis and it's like on the verge of almost giving up, it just feels like there's no hope in sight. Like, you're circling that same mountain. It looks like it's getting better today, and then it looks like there's a recession and things are not just working out the way that they have planned based on your experiences, the things the things you have passed through, and your understanding of God and his ways and all of that. What would you say to that person right now?
Mm. There's one thing I'll say is that if you are still alive today, eh,
Mm,
you you are you have an assignment. So I know that for every day that I stand up, I open my eyes, say, okay, Damilola, I awake again today. Okay, what's the assignment? Do you
mm,
understand? What's the assignment that God has for me today? So if you are alive today, there's an assignment God has for you. Whether you are sick, or you are the sickest person, or you are the strongest person, there's an assignment that God has for you. That you are still breathing, God has an assignment for me. And I say to God every day, don't let me miss that assignment that you have for me. Do you understand? Because the truth is, death is not a punishment. People look at death as, oh, God hates this person or God is punishing the
no.
person. It's not. Do you understand? God is not punishing you with death. Death, in fact, death can also be a blessing for some people.
Death
Because,
is actually a means of protection. I've
do you
heard people
understand?
say that, there's some people that are just so good, but they die
Mm-hmm.
early because so that to prevent them from
And
being
from
corrupt. So just say, well,
corrupt.
let me take
Exactly.
this, my very darling
Do you
child, and just
understand?
carry her and go.
And rest. You see what God did to Moses, so that he will not go and scatter and go and
Mm,
finish in that place where he's going. God said, oh, yeah, be coming home. Because if I leave you like this, you just go. You will not, I will not find you again. Do you understand? Come home. Do you understand? So I would say to you that the fact that you have breath in
mm,
you, right? You should give God thanks, right? Give God thanks. I know the situation is hard. Well, I don't know. Let me not say I know. I don't know how bad it is, but just know that God is in your boat. If you have God in your boat, you will not sink. And when I
mm,
mean sink, I don't also say, for me, I don't qualify death as sinking. Do you understand?
mm,
So I'm not saying you will not die. If you die, so death is not I don't clap. Death is nothing for me right now. But the fact that you have God in your boats, just know that He's with you. He's seen you. He wants to work with you, and it will make things easy. It will ease things away from you. And I know that every stage is something for me to learn. I always pray. I always say to God,
mm.
what do I want to learn in this season? Don't let me miss this lesson in this season.
Yeah.
Because there's a lesson for each season that you're going through. I've been working in Nigeria. I've been working since I left secondary school, FOA.
Mm,
As soon as I left secondary school, I have been working. I first started work as an assistant teacher. Went to university, was working, doing ushering jobs, gigs, and here and there. Immediately I finished, I started working. So I've been working all my life. Now I got to Finland and I don't have job. I've not worked since I came
mm.
here. Do you understand? I have not gotten, it's only language school and all of those things. But I'm not, like I said, I can't sit down. I'm doing photography gigs here and there. Do you understand? That's what's been helping me, you know. But is what am I learning in this season? I think God was also trying to redirect my step. Is it teaching He wants me to do or not? So I have
Yeah.
been able to find out that okay, He's probably not wanting me to stay in this teaching line. He wants me to channel it to another place. Still working with youth, still working with young people, but maybe not in the classroom. So there's a lesson for every season that you are in. But the most important thing is that you should have God in your boat. Because if you
Hmm.
don't have God in your boat, I don't know how to advise you. Because if you don't have God in your boat, me, I don't know what to say to you. For those ones are different. It's another advice for another day. But for those who have God in their boats, just know that if Christ is in your boat, you cannot sink in that boat.
No matter how it's
No
rocky, it
matter
looks
how
like
it's rocking, you cannot sink. But just always ask God that in that boat, oh, now that it's rocking, oh, what do you want me to learn? Do you want me to learn that when I'm driving next time, I should not pass this kind of place?
mm,
Do you understand? Or this kind of wind? Or I should, what exactly do you want me to learn at this season? I know that God will stand by you. God, He has not said He has not said we'll be void of tribulations. He said you will go through tribulations,
will be
but
of
be
good
of
cheer.
good courage. Eh? I have overcome the world. So that's what I'm not going to say. You are in that pain. I know that you're in the pain. I'm also, sometimes I'm in pain too, but I know that God is with me and He will not leave me. He won't leave me to suffer. That's my comfort. He won't leave me to suffer.
Damilola, thank you.
3 hours. Oh my
Thank
God.
you so much for sharing. And this is just the summarized version. Oh.
Oh my God. Summarize my show. Oh my God.
But thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Like, this has been
Okay.
deeply, deeply, deeply inspiring, even to me, as a
Yeah.
person and all of that.
Yeah.
So I really do appreciate it. And I also want to say thank you because even when I reached out to you, you were like, oh, yeah, sure. Like, I'll come on the
Yeah.
podcast. I was
But
like,
if
I
we,
don't know.
but if we be,
Ah,
how will I say no? I can't say no.
are you sure? So I can come ask you for like 1,000
And I
pounds
Shebi
now.
is when I have the 1,000 pounds. If I have it, it's you
Oh,
that
thank
is the
you.
money person now. It's you that
Hallelujah.
see
Amen.
your suit
I
alone, abi
claim it.
your suit dress. Your hair alone, you know how much.
I
See me,
claim it. I
see
claim it
me.
for
There's
you.
a reason for this dread. So I don't go and spend money unnecessarily.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, Damilola. This has been
thank
truly,
you.
truly inspiring. So thank you so much for coming on this episode and
Thank
just
you so
just
much.
sharing from your heart. And we really do appreciate you. I pray that God will continue to uphold you and
Okay.
that through life's challenges and all of that, your faith will continue to be strengthened. That this knowledge
Amen.
of God that you have, that it will carry you through all of life's circumstances in the mighty name of
Amen.
Jesus. So I
Amen.
just want to say thanks everyone for
Thank you for
watching this
having.
episode. And until we come your way again in another fortnight, I want to remind you that God loves you and I love you too. Bye.
Bye.